Hey everybody, this is just a little short video on how to calculate your fragrance for making candles. I'll just use an example, and like you could either cut it in half or do however many whatever kind of a batch of candles that you're making. But just say for instance you've got 12 pounds of wax that you're going to be melting. So you take 11%. So that is 0.11, and multiply. That's if you multiply that, it's 1.32 pounds fragrance. So to convert that in whatever kind of fragrance that you're needing, you multiply that times 16. So 12 pounds of wax times 16, because 16 is the ounces in a pound, and you have 12 pounds. So that's 192 ounces. So you times that times 11, that would be 0.11. That's, you times that times 192. It's 21.12 ounce of fragrance. So it probably sounds confusing, so let me do it again. Like 15 jars of candles at 8 ounces each. So 15 times 8 is 120. So you divide 20 into 120, and it's 6 pounds of wax. So the fragrance, 6 pounds of wax times that 11%, which is the 0.11. So 6 times, so the 0.11 times 6. First go 16, because there's 16 ounces in a pound, times 6. That's 96. Okay, 96 times 0.11 is 10.56 ounces of fragrance. So, on where you buy your fragrance from, this says candles. The percentage is anywhere from 3 to 10. So then by that saying, okay, 10%. So you would do 10%. So let's say that you need 6 pounds of wax, and there's 16 ounces in a pound. So that's 96 ounces. So 96 ounces times 10. So that would be 9.56. So that would be how much ounces, this is all in ounces, that you would need for fragrance. The thing is, like 1 pound of wax is usually, you can go buy 2 ounces of fragrance oil. Every time you make a batch of candles, if you want to, you can just kind of like round it out. 1 pound of wax is 2 ounces of fragrance oil. And that would be like the 12%, thinking along that line. If you had 1 pound of wax and you didn't want to do the 12%, anywhere between 3 and 10 is what they recommend for this lemon verbena. So you could okay, 3 to 10. Let's just go with 1 pound of wax and 1 ounce of fragrance oil instead of the 2, because usually I'll go with 12, and this one doesn't need 12%. They're recommending here that this scent works pretty good. Candles, Bath and Body, and for candles it's anywhere from 3 to 10. So let's just say the 1 pound will be 1 ounce of fragrance oil. Now, if you don't want to use this, and you have an essential oil around the house, you can go 1 cup of melted wax and 4 drops, or that's 1 tablespoon of essential oil. Now, when you make the candle, you'll see how that throws a scent, and if it's good or not, and if you would do it again, make it a larger batch. But for a test, just for your own, and then light it and see how it burns and what it smells like. But depending on the essential oil you choose, because there are a lot of them out there, and the scent throws different, and depends if you're using paraffin, or if it's soy wax. But you'd want to do a test burn first. So on something like this, they already tell you. But if you don't know, and you just have some sort of fragrance or some sort of essential oil, you can kind of go by, the starting point would be 4 drops of your essential oil to 1 cup of melted wax, and just start from there and make yourself a little tea light candle or a little votive, and just test it and see where it goes from there. And that's basically how to calculate. I calculate, I'll do the 1 pound of wax, where you get the 20 from, it's 20 ounces of volume is 1 pound of wax. So like you would say 16 ounces equals a pound. Well, no, not in this case, so just forget that. But 1 pound of wax, like the volume of it, would be 20 ounces. That's where that 20 comes from. So you multiply the number, and first figure out how many candles you're going to make. So if you're going to make like a pound, like 20 ounces of candles, maybe 5 4-ounce candles. 5 times 4 is 20. So there's maybe where you can get that. So 5 4-ounce size containers of candles. So you melt that down. Then how you would do it is you take, we could do a bigger batch, like say for instance if you're going to do, like that's how I do it, like 30 candles at 8 ounces each. So here's the math for that. 30 candles at 8 ounces each gives you 240 total ounces. That's, you have your jars and they hold X number amount. So in this case 8 ounces, which and you'd multiply that, and that's where your 240 comes from. Then that 20, because that's your volume that I told you, 1 pound of wax, your volume isn't 16 ounces, it's 20. So here's where you take that 240 ounces that we just came up with, dividing our 30 times 8. Okay, so you divide 20 into the 240, and that gives you 12 pounds of wax is what you're actually going to need to make that amount of candle. So now let's figure out how, and this is like my normal kind of a thing, so that's why I'm telling you for an example. You can cut the whole thing right in half. But anyway, so you take the 12 pounds of wax that I calculated that I was going to need, and you times that times the 11%. You remember, here's your percentages. This one goes as high as 10. So mine is 11. I calculated at 11 or 12. 11 or 12. But 12 pounds of wax at 11%. So that would be 0.11. That's your 11%. And then your that equals 1.32 pounds of fragrance. Or if you convert that by ounces, you'll multiply times 16 ounces. 12 pounds of wax times 16, that's pounds, ounces in a pound, is 192, and then you times that times your 11%. So that the 11% is 0.11, and times 192 is 21.12 ounces of fragrance is what I would need for that batch of candles. So I know it sounds confusing, but if you write it down and you look at it, it makes sense. And instead of writing a lot of things down, just write this one down and then divide it in half. 30 candles at 8 ounces per jar, per container. So that's a whole total of 240 ounces of wax you're going to need. So divide 20 into 240, and that gives you 12 pounds of wax is what you want to melt. So your 12 pounds of wax times 11%. So make the 11% into a 0.11 so that you can times it. So you would 12 pounds of wax at 16, there's 16 ounces in a pound, so 12 pounds of wax is 192, and then you're going to times that 11%, which is 0.11 equals 21. If you work it out, 21.12. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it okay. Let's see here. Alright, so there's that. And that's my normal thing, or I'll cut it in half. Sometimes then I'll cut it in half. But usually I'll know, how much fragrance I need, and that would be 21.12 ounces. Now, you don't have to, you can skip the 1-2 part, but at least I'm going to have some fragrance around here. There's going to have to be 21 ounces of it. So I know before I start if I've got enough fragrance to make this. But this is how you calculate it out. And if you do this on paper, remember how I got it. If you do your 30 candles at 8 ounces, that's how you do the math. It comes to 240 ounces, and that's your total of all the jars. And then you divide. I do the old way, as you can tell, old school. So that's 12 pounds of wax is what I'm going to need to melt. Now, when you have that melted, then you want to do your fragrance. Your 12 pounds of wax at 11%, and excuse the scribbling here, but just my notes, and you can do the same. So at 11%, so 11% you make it 0.11. Okay, so the conversion part is 12 pounds at 16 ounces per pound is 192 ounces total, and then you're going to do the percent, 11%, which is 0.11. I hope you can see that all right. And that equals 21.12. And that's right there. So that's how you do it. Now you want to cut that in half, do 6. You want to do not 6, you want to do 3, do 3. So whatever, however, but it will calculate out. So and like a lot of them, it'll tell you already the percent on there. I just kind of do the rough, like 12, think that in my mind. And so these calculations, like 11%, that's like sort of like bringing it down where I'm close to 10 or 11, 12, something like that. Now I always kind of use that unless if I got something like this and it said do not go any higher than X number, then I wouldn't, of course. But you can stay like 3 to 12 is good. On here they have 10, but that's just this lemon verbena. On another one it might have 3 to 12. So that's why 12 is a number you see a lot. So you can go by that, unless if you want to go by 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever. So that's a little thing on how I calculate the fragrance. And I just wanted to tell you that. And if you were wondering how do you know how much fragrance to get or have on hand, that's how. So if I know it sounds confusing, so leave me comments and I'll try to help you out, or try to, I'll put it below anyway. But please subscribe, give me thumbs up. I hope you like the video, and have a great day.